All right, we're back once again with another Hot Wheels Redline. This time it's the 1968 Custom Camaro. Now I will post the original video in the description below this video, but if you watched it, you may recall that this was supposed to be blue, and for some reason, I don't know what happened to the Spectraflame paint, it turned it green, not even a Spectraflame green. It's really, really odd, but it was a nice job. Like, it's a really nice even paint job, but it's just it's wrong. So we got to take it back apart because they didn't make a green Camaro like this. Maybe antifreeze, but not this color. So we're going to go ahead and take it all back apart and redo it. At least that's what we hope. And there's a little twist in this one that I think it's halfway, less than halfway through, and you'll see. So we're taking out those screws and we'll take it all apart, and then we will end up stripping it down. And I've used this clip in a few different videos because I'm just stripping a bunch of the cars at once. There's even more, but I want to electroplate this one because it did need it, and I didn't do it originally, and I thought that would go well, but yeah, we got a new casting. And I believe I may have posted on Instagram. I wish I would have kept the footage or the picture, whatever I had. Essentially what had happened is I electroplated it. Everything was fine. Disconnected everything and went away for a week. And when I came back, the car was literally just, I mean, it was a gray, soupy mess. The solution, which is just like sea salt, vinegar, and distilled water, it had eaten away at the entire casting. I don't mean there was chunks. There was nothing. It was just gray water. Now, I have accidentally reversed the positive negative in the past with electroplating and, you know, discovered some of my casting had been missing. But this wasn't the case. The electrodes, everything were out of the solution, but it totally dissolved the casting, so I had to go to eBay and buy another one. And this one is in rough shape. I don't recall. I'll post the original video. I don't remember the shape the other one was in originally, but it was probably about the same. But this thing was like 60 bucks. I mean, just these custom Camaros are just outrageously priced. So yeah, you don't want to mess these up. So we're gonna chuck Mr. Camaro into our little watch vise, little watch case vise. Again, those work great with keeping your hands out of the way with drilling. And then we're going to use the center punch to get some little divots started for our drill so we don't wander off too much, but we still do. These posts are really small. You can see that back one. That's what I'm pointing to. See, didn't go all the way in the center. Well, it did, and then it slipped. The front one was fine. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of grind it off. I've got a real small bit in there, and we're going to just concave that out and get it all out of there so we can just pop off the base. Otherwise, we could try to drill it. We may slip and end up damaging the actual base of the car, putting a scratch or even a hole in it, so we don't want to do that. So you can see it's pretty clean. Now we'll pop it apart. And voila. It is freed from its base. And the base is not bad on this one, really. Even the wheels, they're worn, but they're in pretty good shape. The interior was in great shape. Everything else was not too shabby. Now, I did end up using, I think, this windshield. I don't recall, or this glass. But from grinding that out, they're not flat. So I'm just taking a file and just going to flatten out those posts. That way we can more easily drill them out all the way, because we still need to drill them for our screws. And then we can also tap them. So we're taking our drill. See, it's not exactly center, but we'll kind of correct that as we're going down. Just going to drill both the front and rear. And then after that, we'll get them tapped out. After that, we'll go ahead and install the screws for two reasons. One, to make sure they work, and the second reason is this will give the helping hand something to grip onto. You can see that front one, I was in fear of that was going to go through the engine bay, so I didn't put it in all the way, and then I cut it off screen, shortened it up a bit. Now we're going to go ahead and apply some stripper. And this is not the orange stuff, obviously. This is not aircraft stripper. This is another brand that actually, I'll post in the description. I don't recall, Lesco or something like that. It did pretty well. You can see it's, as I'm brushing it on, it's just taking it right off. So it's not too bad. A little bit better than the new brand of the aircraft stripper, and not it's probably better than the orange stuff as well. And here is the casting after we're done. It's not too bad. Now the trunk area is a little bent, which I knew. I mean, it looks better stripped. See how it's kind of bent up there? So we're going to take our wire brush and just clean off any big spots that we can kind of just grind down a little bit. Not really grind, but just kind of maybe polish up. There is a place on the roof. It's like a bump that it had on there, and I was trying to address that without taking too much metal off, but it helped a little, but not much. Apply some mother's polish, and then polish it up with our buffing wheel. These buffing wheels, I've got those also in the Amazon in my store. If you go to that link, you'll see what I use. They are great. They're real soft, and they work fabulous. See, it's shining up a little bit, but it's still, it's not great. And then we'll use some of our sandpaper. And as mentioned in the last video, this is actually 1800 grit. So I think I mentioned 800 on the Eldorado. It's 1800. So it's really, really fine. It's not doing much. You can see that trunk area is still a little boogered up. So take a little hammer and just give her a few taps, straighten it out. And it helped. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. And now we're taking a little sanding, it's like a little sanding stick, and just getting in between those sections on the hood, because they were a little boogered up as well. And be surprised what you find under these paint jobs. I mean, it's very crude. Of course, Hot Wheels are cheap, so that is kind of self-explanatory, but they look great until you get the paint off of them. You're like, wow, this is really a hunk of junk. And then we'll polish some more. All right. And even more polishing, just trying to get this paint job acceptable. Doesn't have to be perfect, but acceptable. Then once we're done polishing, we're going to clean everything off with some mineral spirits. Now, as mentioned, I clean them off with this, and then I also will take it to the sink or what have you with some hot soapy water. Now notice I'm holding it with a glove. You don't want to see all that dirt. I mean, it's pretty bad. It doesn't look dirty, but it is. But you don't want to hold it with your bare hand, because the oil and everything from your hands, once you go to paint it, it will, the paint won't stick. It'll definitely ruin it. So again, when you wash it as well, I put gloves on both hands and then wash it and let it air dry so I can get ready for paint. And we're going to paint it the original Spectraflame blue. We're not going to change any colors on it. We'll add a syringe full of the blue Spectraflame as well as the hardener. Now, again, this is the same Spectraflame. I don't believe it's the same bottle, but it is the same paint that I used originally that made it turn out green. So, but this time we have much more success. Now this shot here, the paint is, I believe I'm 2 coats in. You can see that first coat, you can barely even see it. You can see hints of blue. So I do 1 real light, 1 medium, 1 heavy, and then usually call it done. Now I'm using some CO2 air here to clean off the dust. It's been sitting for a while, so right now we're in May of 2022, and I believe I painted this, and it's been in the basement in the open elements for, oh geez, since September, I believe, of last year. And kids have been down here, and it's kind of been through it, even though it hasn't been played with. It's just been sitting out in the open. And you can see I've got 2 different interiors here. One is from this casting, one is from the other. Luckily, they both had the same interior, same glass, same base, everything, because there are some different ones. Now, I don't know if you saw, I was looking at the back. I said it wasn't played with, but I believe somebody may have knocked it over at some point, because I actually had it on the Helping Hands. I had like 8 castings on Helping Hands that were kind of not hidden, but they were out of, you have to manually go and touch them. It's not like they're going to fall on the floor. And the back of it got a little scuffed, and I'm assuming that some certain little 9-year-old had knocked it over and never told me. So I'm just going to touch up that part with the brush. I'm using the Spectraflame and a brush. I'm just going to touch it up a little bit. And you could do that, and it was only on the edge. Now, I wouldn't want to paint an entire vehicle that way. I think it would probably look horrible, but in this case, it turned out okay. And here we are. We're all finished. Looks a lot better. Obviously, it's a different casting, but it's definitely blue this time. It's not green, so I'm very happy with the end result. And you can see the trunk area is a little boogered up a tiny bit, but not that bad. So it did look pretty rough when we first got it. So that is going to do it for this one. Again, this is going to be part of the, once I get them all complete, the eBay auction for all 16 of the original Sweet 16 with the custom carrying case. So look for that. We've got quite a few videos to upload before that time, but I will be sure to let everybody know. And if any of the tools that I've used, you want to purchase those for yourself, be sure to check out the link in the description below the video. There is an Amazon, it takes you to my Amazon page or my favorites and shows you all the tools we use. So please feel free to post any questions or comments, and as always, thanks for watching.